Man, you guys just had the lawn mowed out here. Look at that. Don't you just love the smell of fresh cut grass? It's literally all I walked into the front yard for. Just to get a little bit of the aroma of some fresh cut grass. That has nothing to do with this video. We're gonna head into the fish cave now and quit being so awkward. Okay everybody, welcome back to the fish cave and the world's worst fishing. I am Chris Jones, and again, thank you so much for being here today. So today's video is one I'm personally excited about. It's been a long journey. So I've been working on a sort of red belly sunfish, or we call them long ear sunfish, or river brim, orange belly bluegill, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different varieties and color varieties of brim. You know, I mean, you have your regular old bluegill. You know, you have your long ear sunfish, regular red bellies. You know, there's so many types. You know, you have your shell crackers. What else is there? Warmouth, all kind of stuff. But I recently finally poured something that I absolutely love, okay? And there it is right there. It's sort of a orange belly sunfish slash river brim slash long ear color, okay? And you can see there's a lot of color blending happening. There's a lot of layers, and they're very delicate layers. And what I mean by that is they're not very concentrated. So I'm adding tiny amounts of pigment, tiny amounts of color, and doing multiple layers here. So I posted these just a few days ago and got a lot of positive feedback, which lets me know, hey, they look good. And a lot of you wanted to see how they were done. And I said, well, I'll do the video because I want to pour more of these, number one. Number two, I want to show you guys what I was doing. And number three, there's actually a new technique that we're going to be using in this video. It's not a pouring technique. It's sort of how you heat the mold is different. We're going to be cold pouring this. So for example, whenever I pour the mold, okay, we're going to be using the 6-inch AI open pour mold, okay? So normally you would see me heat the molds and then pour while the molds are hot. This one, we're cold pouring the molds, and what I mean by that is we're going to do everything, pour the skin layers, everything like that, and pour all the way up to the top. We're going to completely complete the bait in a room temperature or cold mold, and then we're going to heat the molds up afterward. Okay, so here's our setup today. We have our molds laid out. They're already taken apart. Okay, so they're already laying out, ready for those skin layers. You know, put my sunglasses down. And you can see over here on the griddle, which, as I said, will not be turned on till the very end. So we're actually going to kind of use it as our table, so to speak, to just kind of keep all of the stuff that we're working with in one spot. You can see we have a lot of stuff. So let me grab this bait here. This right here uses everything you see on that griddle, okay? So we have a couple of pigments. So from Lure Works, we have phthalo blue over here on the far left. We have some just straight black pigment. We have the green pumpkin 109, which is excellent, excellent stuff. We have the orange, okay, right there. That's for the orange bellies, of course. We have just some regular white, which will be for the, quote, bottom color, so to speak. This is a cool one right here. This is a dead-on color. This is the Mine Dust. It's a gray pearl right there. We have some white pearl powder, which will assist with the white for the bottom. And then we have two different sizes of black flake. So we just have, let's see, what is that? Yeah, 0.04 hex black and 0.015. Okay? And as you can see, we're not going to use very much flake. There's just a little bit of black flake in and amongst there for texture, okay? So that's what it takes to do this if you want to pour this one at home. or pour any version of it, you'll need a lot of stuff. So first things first, we need a blue skin layer. All right. So we're going to take our Pyrex cups here. We're going to be using Dead On Plastic Craw Tube Blend. And let me get all this stuff mixed up and ready to go, and then we'll build the first color. Okay, so here is our first glutton for punishment, okay? So we have about a half of a measuring cup of plastic, okay? And a bait like this, where I'm trying to blend so many layers together and make it kind of harmonious, you know, I have to think about like an actual artist, right? A painter. I'm trying to paint with my plastic. And what I have found in my experience is that thinner colors blend more naturally. So I don't want a ton of you know, saturation. So literally, this blue layer is 1 drop of phthalo blue. So here we go. Boom, just 1. That's it. And in some cases, I'll actually just take my knife and just dip some pigment and mix that in. So like not even a whole drop. But this one gets a whole drop. Just 1 drop does the trick, kind of like hot sauce, right? Except I use way more than 1 drop of hot sauce. There you go. Super see-through, but super effective. And same with the glitter. I want the flake just very kind of sparse, okay? So some of this 0.404 size, I'm not using much. Maybe that much. Okay? So let's mix that in. We just want it to just add a little bit of texture that you just kind of see every now and then, right? And then same with the smaller size. We're going to add just a few pieces of the 0.015, the little stuff. Like, that's it. Not even a 20th of a scoop, right? So just a little bit, you know? Okay. And that's going to be our blue skin layer. Okay, so now it's time to get that first blue skin down. And I actually want to pour these skin layers kind of sloppy. And the reason for that is because we're layering several. We're actually going to layer 3 skin layers here. And I want to pour them kind of uneven. That way you get a little bit of overlap between layers so that on the outside of the finished product, you get to see all 3 colors a little bit by themselves, but then also the effect of all 3 layered behind each other. So instead of trying to pour a really nice even layer all throughout, I want to wait till my plastic is set up a little bit, and then I literally just want to do a sloppy pour, okay? Just like that. I want it to be uneven at best, you know, kind of let it droop around a little bit. Something just like that, okay? So we're going to do it to the other side of this mold here, kind of the opposite way down, okay? So just a little bit here, there. Yeah. Sloppy, sloppy layer pouring. There you have it. Something sloppy like that. Okay, we have our sloppy blue skins on. No 2 are alike. And that's exactly what you want. So, on to the next part. Okay, the next part is to create our watermelon color, or our green pumpkin color, which is going to serve as both a layer and then the final top layer whenever we actually pour the body of the bait. So that's why there's a lot of it here, because it's going to be used in 2 different ways in 2 different areas of the bait. So again, subtlety is the key. I want 4 drops of the 109, actually 3. 1, 2, 3, okay? And then I want 3 drops of black. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So that's about all I want there. So we're going to stir that in. By the way, I love mixing watermelon and black or green pumpkin and black. You get a nice dark shade of green that to me looks super, super natural. Okay, so that's what we have there. I might actually give it 1 more green pumpkin. Yesterday I did 4 and 4, but I had more plastic. So I did 4 drops of black, 4 drops of the green pumpkin. Okay. Beautiful. And just a little bit of black flake, okay? So like I said, very precise today. We're not just squeezing stuff in there. Very precise. And I want to add a little bit of the small black flake. Okay, and so here we go. So the next step is to pour our watermelon skin, okay? And it's the same concept. I kind of want to just pour a little bit here and there and everywhere and kind of cover parts of this and then not cover other parts, okay? So you can see how random that is. So from the outside, we're going to get to see some of the green aqua hue from these 2 layers overlapping one another. But then the spots where it doesn't overlap, we're going to see just the pumpkin and just the blue from the outside a little bit, plus our 3rd layer. So I don't just want to cover the whole thing. I want it to be splotchy. Again, I'm trying to think like how Monet would paint something, right? The way that he would just blend the colors. There were no straight lines whatsoever. And that's the key, I think, to making something look like nature created it, is not having any straight lines or any sort of order to it like that. So that's what we're doing. And again, everybody, this is the Dead On Plastics Craw Tube blend. It's a medium hard blend, and I like to use the black bucket sinking stuff. All right, so this step is more or less optional, but I'm putting in a little layer of gray pearl, okay? So this skin layer is going to kind of go across the top. And the only purpose is for this to mask sort of the laminate lines underneath the skins where the white belly meets the watermelon top. I don't want there to be a straight line because we don't want any straight lines on this bait. So this layer is essentially just a mask, okay? So we don't want much. Again, this is a very small amount of plastic. This is 1/4 of a cup. So we just want enough to give it a little bit of color. And this mine dust is some pretty cool stuff. It's a really, really pretty shade of gray mica powder. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Just a little layer to go across the top. And you can use whatever color you want. It doesn't have to be gray like this. You could substitute probably any color you want, or leave this step completely out. So anyway, with that said, we're going to pour this last layer. I'm not going to show it to you because we've already done a lot of skin pouring, but I'll meet you back whenever I'm done. Okay, and there are the final skin layers, okay? So if we get that in focus, you'll see this kind of thin gray layer. It kind of goes along the top, but then there's a few areas where it peeks out the bottom, and you'll actually see that whenever the baits are done. So for example, over here we have some of the gray poking out a few places, and I think it just adds one more color depth. So now we're going to close the molds, and then we actually are going to put them on an angle so that we can pour the orange bellies. Alright, and now we are adding our Lureworks Blaze Orange. What I like about this is that it's super thin. So you can see I just put in probably 10 or 12 drops worth, right? And it barely did a thing. And while that may be annoying that you have to keep adding color, when you're doing some of this swim bait hand pouring, or any sort of hand pouring, and you don't want to overdo it, it's nice to be able to just add colorant as you go and not be worried that you're just going to immediately get it too thick right off the bat. Or you could just use that's literally about like a drop of the Dead On orange. But however, this particular shade of orange is what I wanted for these baits. So we're just going to keep adding it, and then we're going to add a very small amount of black flake, and these are going to be our bellies. Okay, here we go. Time to pour the orange bellies, and we have the molds angled so that whenever we pour, it only goes in that front side the way that we want it to, okay? Just right up there in the nose. That's it. Okay. Maybe a smidge more. Alright, so I'll try and get a little bit better angle here. That's how it is. And you can see I've literally just got the molds propped up on some other molds on the griddle. So we have this angle there. You can see it's a pretty steep angle, and that's how I keep that orange right down there just in the front noses of these baits. That way it can't run down the shaft of the bait and fill in other parts of the belly that I don't want to be orange. And this is one of the reasons why I'm cold pouring the mold, right? If these molds were already scalding hot, then that plastic wouldn't set up at the angle like I want, and then whenever I took these molds down, the plastic would run into the bottom. So that's one of the reasons why I'm cold pouring this mold. The other reason is for flake suspension, and we'll talk about that whenever we pour the final layer. Okay, and so the belly color, well, the other belly color, the bottom color is LureWorks white, okay? And again, it's a real light color, so it's hard to overdo it. But we actually want this super, super transparent, okay? We don't want this to be super thick. In fact, that's about right. And the reason we don't want it so thick is because we don't want to see the line, the laminate line, okay? So that's about right. If I look at it over there, it's still pretty see-through, right? So that's about it. We're gonna top it off with just a smidge of pearl powder just to give it a little bit of shine, and we're good to go. Okay guys, and time to pour the white belly. So here we go. I'm just gonna pour it there. And we want to pour it pretty far up. And another advantage to cold pouring like this is that, see how the plastic's moving towards the tail? I can pour it a little bit further up that tail. And because that mold isn't hot, see how that plastic stopped right there? I can pour further up the tail and stop the plastic where I want to, okay? If this mold was already hot, that plastic would keep running down into the tail, and then I would have, like, quote, over poured it. Okay, so here's the next one. So just little things like that make a difference when you're trying to get a certain look. If you want your bottom color to go way, way, way up the tail without running down, you could always cold pour your mold. So we'll stop there. Okay. You can always kind of pick up the molds and angle it a little bit to stop it. And there you have it. Okay, so I have my bellies poured, and I'm going to show you why I didn't want to pour the white super thick. I can actually still see the hook slot insert down through there. The reason why you don't want to pour it so thick is, here's a reject. Because that white, okay, is so saturated and opaque, you can actually see this ugly line, right, where the white stops and the top begins. That's because it's oversaturated. The white is so visible through the layers that you actually see the merger of the layer. And to me, that just throws off the entire look. So that's kind of why I threw that gray down to try to mask that. And then I mixed my white up a lot thinner, okay? And that's kind of your keys to success there. Okay, time to top off the bait, okay? Now the griddle is still cold, and one of the benefits of doing this cold pouring is that the flake that's in this top color will stay suspended. Because if you think about it, pouring this into a cold mold, the plastic will set up quicker, which gives that flake less time to settle towards the bottom. So you see a lot of people hand pouring, particularly in a swim bait, and all their glitter kind of sinks to the bottom. That's how you get around it, is you basically have to cold pour. That is one way to do it. You can also pour in layers, let one layer set up, then pour the second layer. And what I mean by layers is the top layer. So for example, if I was going to do it that way, I might just pour just that portion of the top, right? Let that set. Let that flake set. Then pour the next layer. That way I'm pouring thinner layers and they'll set even quicker, which in theory will suspend my flake even better. So little tip there. So anyway, we're going to finish these out. And yeah, we are almost done, people. Okay, so the molds are topped off. Now we need to cut this thing on. So I'm going to cut it on to between 300 and 350, okay? And I'm going to let this heat up for about half an hour. I want to give this a long time, okay? And basically, the molds need to get so hot that you can drip some water on there and it boils right off. And I mean, you want to let it get so hot that it almost just melts the whole thing together and just gobbles all the colors together, if that makes any sense. So I'm basically going to come check on it here in about 20 minutes. Now, obviously, never leave your griddle turned on if you're going to leave the house or anything like that. You always want to keep a close eye on any sort of electric heat source or any heat source for that matter. So I will meet you guys back when these are done, and we'll take a look. Okay guys, so it's been about 15 minutes and the molds are super hot. You can see, however, because we cold poured that plastic, because it sets up quicker when you cold pour, we have the dimple in the tail. The way to get rid of that is just to heat gun it. So if you watch the second tail there, okay, there you go. It'll just melt right back there together. See that? And that's how you close in those dimples. And you can kind of melt just the surface of each bait, and that will kind of clean up the cavities right there on the edges. Okay guys, big moment here. Let's see if our work paid off. Join me in a drum roll. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Let's see if our hard work paid off. Did we get it right? Dun dun dun. Oh yes. There it is, you guys. Now let's get it in focus. And let's just take quick note of a few things. So if we look at our layers here, you'll see some of that gray peeking out down there. You'll see it in the back there, a little bit of the top. And it just kind of looks like white powder almost, but it's really that gray powder. Lovely color blending up in the nose. Yep. I like the way the orange just kind of fades into all that aqua color. Yeah. Alright, that one worked out. Let's grab another one here. Make sure that one wasn't just a fluke. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, I love how the blue kind of pokes out from the green, right? And that's why you want to pour those splotchy layers. Again, the idea is to think, you know, how would I paint this, right, if I was just painting it? So we're painting with our plastic. Okay, and now we're going to attach an eye. So we're going to use some Jetson Lure Eye Blue Squid. Okay, so there it is right there. If you want to get that, that's the Blue Squid Jetson with the holographic silver backing. And this particular bait is absolutely worthy of these Jetson eyes. So just a little dab of glue. For those of you who might be new to this, there it is. Loctite gel is what you want to use when attaching these eyes. So we're just going to grab one here. Alright. And this eye, the pupil just kind of looks in all directions. So it's not necessarily facing one direction. So that's another thing I like about it. There's really no wrong way to put it on. Some eyes are always facing a certain direction. Others are not. So yeah, there we go. Now we're going to do the other side, and yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, so here's a little aerial shot of all of these that I have poured. plus a few more over there. That one just kind of didn't fit on this stack. So there are the ones today with the blue squid eyes. Those other ones there, that is a fish skull living eye. Yeah, that's I think it's called Wind or something. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. There's the watermelon tails there in the back. Yeah, trying to get close-up shots while keeping it in focus. So there you have it, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope you really like the color. Well, everybody, I am all poured out. So thanks for being here today. Really detailed video, so I hope you found it useful and either educational or fun, or both. Let me know what you think of the color. Please shoot me lots of comments down below. Let me know what you might have done differently, or if you've poured a similar color like this. I would love to get your thoughts on it. So anyway, that's a fun one to try if you're into like bluegill, sunfish, brim colors. And that one took me a long time to just finally get it right, and even still it's hard to get it perfect. So with that said, I'm gonna go inside. It's hot. We'll catch you next time.